A fascinating new book looks at the role of women in the CIA throughout history, how they fought to become operatives, transformed spycraft, and track down Osama bin Laden.
It's called The Sisterhood, The Secret History of Women in the CIA, and author Liza Mundy joins us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Women have served as spies throughout history, so why in modern times it's the perfect cover, right? In a man's world, quote unquote. Why didn't the CIA see that?
Well, when the CIA was formed in 1947, there was a very, I have to say, macho atmosphere in which the top jobs were very exciting, very powerful jobs, being overseas, collecting information, collecting intelligence, spying on behalf of the United States government, collecting secrets. And part of it was that the guys wanted to keep those jobs for themselves. And part of it was that they genuinely believed that women could not do that work, that women could not close the sort of deal in which you have to persuade a person in another country to commit treason by passing you secrets. And women proved over the decades of the Cold War that, in fact, being female, being inconspicuous, being not suspected of spying was, in fact, a perfect cover for doing exactly that kind of work. But it took the agency a while to sort of admit that.
So the women were doing the work for the CIA. They just weren't given, they weren't just given the badge, you're a CIA agent, but you can do all the dirty work.
Right, exactly. Several of the women in my book, one woman started as a clerk at CIA stations and very quickly proved her mettle and her confidence, and also learned that recruiting women in other countries, that women working as clerks and secretaries in foreign offices had access to all of the secrets in their offices, and that these women were pissed off and ready to pass those secrets to her. So even as a clerk, she proved that she was extremely capable. And women also who were wives of CIA officers were trained and expected to do the sort of street tradecraft that spies are famous for. And often during the Cold War period didn't get any pay and didn't get any credit for it, but they were absolutely instrumental, as their husbands acknowledged in interviews with me. And the operations that they ran and participated in were just absolutely fascinating and important.
Maybe we could just take a look at one, not that the names would be familiar to viewers, but Eloise Page. What is her role as a pioneering woman?
Well, Eloise Page started during World War II, and World War II was when we built our first civilian spy service. The most famous employee of the Office of Strategic Services was Julia Child, the future chef Julia Child. And after the war, many of the female spies were told, thanks very much. Now it's time for you to go home and have children. But Eloise Page hung on, and she worked her way up the spy service, in part because she knew the secrets of the men who ran the spy service. And these guys had a lot of secrets, and they had a lot of secrets that they didn't want people to know, including in their personal lives. I mean, a lot of them would have been Me Too'd out of the workplace. And Eloise Page knew all this, and she was able to use that information to her advantage. And she was sent overseas as the first female chief of station. And there was an operation on the part of some of the men who worked for her to try to get rid of her. And wow. She was so cunning and so good at what she did that she sniffed out the operation and put a stop to it, let's just say.
We mentioned at the top of the interview that it was female agents who helped take down Osama bin Laden. Talk about that.
Yeah, so the CIA knew that it needed women, all along knew that it needed women, and often tried to sort of channel and pigeonhole women into less important niches, working in the archives, working with records, and women developed the ability to track people and to amass a lot of biographical knowledge of people around the world. And counterterrorism in the 1980s was not a prestigious field to get put in. And so women often ended up working counterterrorism at a time when it was not important or not seen as important. And because women had built these incredible skills around tracking people and having biographical information, it was a group of women largely who understood early on in the early 90s even the threat posed by Osama bin Laden and al-Qaeda. And the women tried very hard over a number of years to make these warnings known, to be heard. And what they found was that being underestimated and inconspicuous, while it might be an advantage for a spy on the street, when you are a CIA analyst working in headquarters, trying to get the president and the national security community to pay attention to what you're seeing, then being underestimated is a hardship and a national security risk.
Well, for more, you can check out Liza's website and social media. Thank you so much. The name of the book is The Sisterhood. Thanks for being with us, Liza.
Thank you for having me.